welcome back to the channel. I'm Sane and welcome to a new series called Renaissance Diaries. I might have a better title, but right now I'm calling it Renaissance Diaries. And basically what I want it to be is, honestly, like, Renaissance is an album that means so much to me very, very deeply. I did a discography breakdown of Beyonce last year when the album came out. And I was always kind of wanting to do a follow-up. And I feel like a proper in-depth video essay will be done, very, very put together. But my problem is this album is so broad and it's so, there's so many layers to talk about. I feel like I just literally wanted to pull up the camera and talk about it. Because I think even with me, as I've like been doing this YouTube channel, I've noticed that, like, for me sometimes there's like this immobilizing feeling when it comes to putting together videos and stuff, because it's like I'll have an idea and my nature is to hyperfixate. So I might start working on a video and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to know everything about this right now. So I go into this like deep research process, and I think that's in some ways it's good. It kind of assures the quality and the like quality of my research or whatever. But sometimes it means I kind of stop, and I think there's something refreshing of just kind of being able to put your thoughts out there. And this is what this channel is. It's just about doing that in a more authentic way, which I think sometimes I lose when I'm, you know, putting together all these scripts and stuff. It's just my nature. Even like with this video, I was like, I want to sit down and talk about my thoughts. But then I like spent a whole time making sure that this background was what I wanted it to be. It's just my nature. And I'm trying to kind of release the wig. So basically what this like Renaissance diary is literally just going to be me talking about one aspect of the Renaissance album in a video. So I might, for example, so today we're talking about Break My Soul, but I might go back when I'm ready to talk about, I guess, even with this album, I think it's kind of structured in different ways. Gets a bit more segmented as it goes down, but there's definitely like this like quality of the album where it's like it's in chunks. So I try to analyze it in chunks. But I wanted to start off talking about Break My Soul, because Break My Soul, it's 1 anniversary. 1 year, it's this 1 year anniversary of the time I'm recording this video. And I think what seemed just kind of like a house track, like a standard house track, I think when you combine it with, I guess, the whole album narrative and even like some of the tour visuals and stuff like that, you can see it has a much deeper message. And it's really interesting because even her producer shared that there's a very deep message to this song, and he kind of wants Beyonce to share it, which I don't know if she'll do. Let's see how the rest of the album rollout plays out and how the rest of the other acts play out. But with Break My Soul, it definitely feels, it's gone off. Break My Soul is definitely like this moment of revelation, and even like as the lyrics say, salvation. From I'm That Girl and Alien Superstar, there seems to be like this kind of breakdown. I often think about how like overwhelming it must be to be Beyonce, right? Knowing the power that you have and
that has, the intelligence that has, the clearance that has, the access that has, the influence that has, the profile that has, the international implications that...
All of that must be very, very overwhelming for one person. So it seems like she's sort of trying to like reconcile. She has in the past kind of really tried to challenge this idea of this idolatry that happens with Beyonce. A lot of her visuals. God is God, I am not. Whereas it's very different on this album, where she seems to be really trying to sort of embrace that. She's a god, she's a hero. The affirmative nature of the first 3 songs on Renaissance kind of conflicts that. It seems like what could be understood as is like ego, right? This idea of ego, that ego is this sense of self-esteem and self-importance, and often I think even links to being a black woman. Often black women have to like kind of devalue themselves. Even all marginalized identities even within blackness, you have to kind of reduce their ego to be able to kind of coexist. But it seems like she's, from the start of the album, she's going through like this negotiation of actually, I'm the shit. I'm actually Beyonce. And I mean, it continues throughout the album. For example, with America Has a Problem, her basically saying, America has a problem and it's my pussy. So she's negotiated this, and what kind of made it, what made it stand out to me even more, this idea of like this negotiation or even some sort of like mental breakdown. That's what seems to happen here. The lyrics in Cozy suggest it, been up, been down, been and some of the visuals where it's like there seems to be this madness inside her head, and that's what this Renaissance world is through the tour visuals. It's like this. It says, "Welcome to Mother's Mind," and there's a madness to it. There's this real, there's a craziness to it. Okay, so this is she says.
The right quarter of my insanity, where I am on. My Renaissance, my house of chrome, where I'm reborn. Where you at?
In Beyonce negotiating her place in the world, it seems like it's taken her through like a real journey, and something that to one can seem like madness. But Break My Soul seems to be this realization. I don't know if it's the concept of ego death, but it seems to be this, I guess, reconciliation with the parts of Beyonce that like can make sense of her place in the world and own her power in it, but then also the part that doesn't and struggles with that. And it kind of continues on from Lemonade, where there's almost like this realization of the person that she isn't fully liberated as a woman, like it isn't a fully liberated form. In Break My Soul, she's finally at a place of, I guess, acceptance. It's almost kind of this idea of resurrection. Renaissance meaning like a re-emergence. We can kind of connect it with this idea of resurrection. And we have seen her play up with that, with like the way she embodies Oshun in Lemonade and Hold Up. But then in particular, if you listen to like the Queen's remix, where it's almost like there's like this, I don't know if I would say it's like this internal conversation going on, but it's like she's accepted the divine in her, right? The divine that has allowed her to reach heights that no person living or dead has been able to reach before. And through that like acceptance, that radical acceptance of your full self, that includes the blackness, as we've seen again with Lemonade and Black is King, through this like divine, what feels quite divine liberation. And that's why I kind of look at Church Girl as like not the moment of resurrection, but you know when Jesus like ascended, right? If Break My Soul represents resurrection, Church Girl is like ascension. It's like that moment of actually like, look, I have awakened, I have rebirth, I've come alive. Again, this is more free flow, to be honest, but that's why even with the tour visuals where she's like in white, but then she's spraying herself with colors. It's this reclamation, it's this liberation. And sorry, again, this has been a bit all over the place. But with the Queen's remix, again, it kind of feels like a prayer, right? It's like a prayer and an answer back. That's how I listen to it. That's how I interpret it. As she's like finally, I guess, finding peace within, as she's finding a strength and saying again, you can't break my soul. As she sees herself, her full self, as a full divine being, loved by God. She's listing all these women who have helped her like embody self. And she's ready to find a new salvation. She's ready to, and I think this is what's getting lost on a lot of people with the use of like religious imagery through the album, right? What we've seen with Lemonade and Black is King, there's a tension with Christianity that can be felt with Christianity that can really hinder self and how self is experienced, right? In her fully being liberated and trusting in the expansive nature of her mind, she's able to build something, an ethic, a mode of thinking with Renaissance, with what Renaissance means, you know. Building your own foundation of beliefs that are truly liberatory, right? That actually help you to see self and life in a positive fashion, in a productive fashion, something that's going to empower you, that's going to drive you to get up in the morning. And that's truly what will set people free. Releasing the wiggle and trying to remove yourself from how the world sees you, what the world, like just the systems of oppression. And I've like gone into a lot of detail, particularly on this channel, on all types of like systems of oppression. But how do those systems of oppression and the way the world is experienced and how identity can, like, yeah, that's it. How identity can impact the way you experience the world. True freedom and liberation comes in literally saying, scrap everything that the world has told you about yourself and lean in inwardly, right? Leaning in inwardly could mean getting in touch with self, interrogating family history, lineage, both far and close, which is really interesting. And that's something I really like about this album too. It's like she's looked in quite great detail at her like African lineage, and something that's robbed, an experience that's robbed from a lot of like African Americans, right? But then she's also looked at how ancestry doesn't have to be really, really far. And with what Uncle Johnny represents, that's an ancestor, right? But often it's an ancestor, or anything to do with queerness can be shrouded in secrecy and hidden away. And if you really want to connect with all the parts of yourself, you have to connect with all of the parts of your lineage. And that's why I think it's important. And there's been this idea that what Renaissance is basically going to be a 3-act album looking at like the different genres that have origins connected with Black people's plight to liberation. So there's rumors that there's going to be a country album. I haven't heard much rumors about Act 3, but it links to this idea of actually, in order to find self, you have to go on this like ancestral journey of like reclaiming a lot of what's been taken from you and using that as the building blocks so that you can build not just a sense of self, but principles that can dictate your legacy and your image and the impact that you have on the world. And that's what I mean. That's why Beyonce doesn't talk to anyone. That's why she doesn't say anything, because she doesn't want her legacy. It's going to be so jarring for people watching. She doesn't want her legacy to be contained in, oh my God, I'm Beyonce. There's something deeper to it. And if you push to find that, truly reclaim all the parts of you, all the parts that make up you, you can find this existence and this liberation, which is liberating. And people are experiencing that all over the globe. I think that's why she's highlighted the queer community so much with this album, with this project. The liberation that can be found in these places can be experienced on a greater wild scale, but it just requires self-work, but it also requires us to challenge a lot of like oppression and things that get in the way of hindering all of our liberation. Yeah, this was really rough. But like, I want to get into this. And also, yeah, a lot of this album is about releasing this sense of perfection. And I just want to put my thoughts out there and see what happens. Should I list some of the ideas I have? I think what I'm going to do next is I might talk about Church Girl. I've got a really interesting video idea for Church Girl, which is going to be a bit more structured, but this is just to kind of get us going. I really want to do a video about Jay-Z as a male muse, because I think that's really, really interesting how he serves as this muse to Beyonce. And I don't think often we've had men framed as muses, which is really interesting. Because in the album credit, she specifically says muses, which I think is really interesting. So yeah, hopefully this can start some discourse and discussion. Very, very rough, but it's intentionally that. And yeah, I was gonna say the video low-key just sort of ended. Whatever y'all got going on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to keep doing more of these. I've actually been editing this and I'm like, actually, I kind of like what I've put together here. And yeah, so more is coming. There's also like lots of different things I'm trying to do. Subscribe, comment down your thoughts on Break My Soul, your ideas on it. I also have a TikTok. So on TikTok, I post more like, I guess, topical stuff. So recently I've been talking a lot about The Idol. And like kind of short chunks of analysis. So that's on my TikTok and my Instagram, which is at Saint Adamson. Yeah, so you can follow me, find more of my content, check me out. Yeah. Welcome to the Renaissance.